Over Group 35, for nearly 60 years, Americans have tuned in to watch the Super Bowl, the most anticipated football game of the year, whether they were football fans or not. With so many guaranteed eyes on a TV screen, it's no wonder corporations have jumped on the opportunity to advertise during the big game. Super Bowl ads have become nearly as iconic as the game itself, but is that translating into actual sales and attention for the companies paying big bucks for their ad space? What we ask here is, did advertising the Super Bowl have a measurable effect on revenue and public awareness for companies who consistently advertise in the Super Bowl, such as Coca-Cola and Pepsi, between 2016 and 2025? To answer this question, we decided to measure the Super Bowl ad's impact by changes in daily stock measurements and the Google search volume for Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Our group hypothesized that there will be a short-term boost in both of these companies' relevance during and shortly after the big game, but that there will be no real impact on actual revenue, since ads virality online doesn't necessarily translate into sales growth.
From above, we see that both Pepsi and Coca-Cola have increases in search volume from January to February. However, almost every Super Bowl, we see spikes in Pepsi's search volume relative to surrounding months, although the spikes in Coca-Cola's search volume are not as notable. Above, we see the trends of both companies remains relatively stable, as we see Coca-Cola retains higher interest compared to Pepsi. We see that the Super Bowl months do not align with obvious sustained changes in the moving average, suggesting Super Bowl effects are short-lived rather than long-term advantages.
In this figure, the rolling 30-day volatility, we see that both companies stay fairly steady, with no jumps in volatility during Super Bowl months. The only major spike happens in early 2020 for both companies, which is directly linked to a global market crash and not the Super Bowl. Overall, Coca-Cola and Pepsi remain low volatility and stable, and the Super Bowl does not cause noticeable changes in their price fluctuations. This leads us to believe that Super Bowl effects are short-term, if there are any effects to be observed at all. The lines for both companies stay close to zero, and then the up and down in volatility look random. Neither Coca-Cola nor Pepsi shows a clear jump or drop in returns around the Super Bowl date. This suggests that the Super Bowl does not have any meaningful long-term impact on either company's stock performance. In our next figure, which is our change in Google search interest, we calculate and graph the change in Google searches from January and February every year to see if there's a noticeable jump as the Super Bowl is held in February. From the figure above, we can conclude that Pepsi shows modest increases every single year from January to February, and Coca-Cola has more variable percent change. Overall, we see the percent change every single year for both companies has been positive, meaning searches go up every single year between January and February. However, we do not see consistent upward trend, and it's not consistent across years. For our next figure, the mean stock return, comparing the mean stock return from January to February 1st through 15th, we compute the mean return for the month of January and for February 1st through 15th to see if there's a consistent increase or decrease in returns from January to February around the Super Bowl. As we see the average return difference bouncing above and below zero, the dotted line, it means there's no consistent increase or decrease, and there's no measurable financial benefit in the stock's daily returns.
So, what's the take-home here? While Coca-Cola and Pepsi both had increases in engagement after the Super Bowl, these increases were inconsistent and not big enough to be extremely significant. The stock prices were even more damning, showing no discernible financial impact from the Super Bowl. While you might be wondering why these companies even bother spending so much money advertising during the Super Bowl for such minimal results, there's the implication that they care more about branding and long-term marketing rather than immediate changes in consumer behavior or stock prices. Thank you for watching.